I'll speak on one more example too
Can,
before.
real quick. I get it that you got. Listen, I'm not saying be ignorant or anything. But what I'm getting at is, so you survived, but now you've left your next colleague, the next kid, to have to go through the same exact thing. So you haven't changed the situation for anybody else but yourself, right? Because you got through. And what I'm getting at is, there's always got to be somebody that could be an advocate for you. You don't necessarily have to go crazy at the professor, but you could always say, hey, talk to the dean, talk to somebody. Because in that school, I can guarantee you there's going to be someone, because there was someone for me when a teacher was acting crazy that I could go to and just have a conversation. Because then they fight your battle for you. But you saying, oh, just let me get through. One, who's guaranteeing that they're actually going to write you a good letter of recommendation if they don't even like you? Or messing with your hair or saying that they don't like the way you dress, they're not going to write you a good letter of recommendation. You see what I'm saying? And then all you've done is just gotten through, but the next person is now going to have to deal with the same thing you dealt with. So what have you actually done? And that's where I'm getting at with this. It's not a matter of you having to do something. It's a matter of maybe you and a group of other people talk to somebody who can then advocate for you and say, go to that person and say, what you're doing is not right.
So it's interesting that you bring that up. You're 100% correct. So at the time when this happened, I mean, I was a part of SNDA as a member. Luckily, I had the advising faculty to speak to, who then dealt with student affairs on my behalf. They approached me to see if I wanted to make it a thing. I declined for the reasons that I shared earlier, right? But now, granted, I'm a fourth year. I'm the president of the group for 2 years about now, and I have a bunch of kids on the e-board, bunch of members who may be looking up to me as a D4 for guidance and other things. They've also shared their fair share, fair share of experiences. Excuse me. When this George Floyd matter happened, actually last year, we decided to do just that. The dean did not put out a statement. Student affairs did not put out a statement. So what we decided to do is we actually linked up with HSDA. We made our own newsletter. We highlighted our own personal experiences. We left it very anonymous, and we posted it to the newsletter. We put it on our page as well. And it was interesting because other SNDAs around the country started to follow in the same manner and kind of reach out for these things. It's interesting, I'll share one more experience with Sark, and I know I've been talking a lot. So there was a class that we had in practice management. This one lady, I can't remember her name, but she gives TED Talks on human trafficking. She came to the school to speak about human trafficking. Throughout the whole lecture, and I'm not sure if it's because she didn't see me, but she made it clear that when she thought of human traffickers, she asked the class first, what do you think of human traffickers? Everyone thought, Robert Kraft, or you think of the movie Taken, Europeans, whatever the case is. And she made it known multiple times throughout the lecture that she felt, or when she hears human trafficking, she actually thinks of African American males. And it was tough because now my classmates are looking at me to see my response. I'm just trying to learn. I'm just trying to be in class. Now, granted, there was a dean, a black woman, who was in the room. I approached her about this after the fact. 6 months from then is when she gave me a response saying that, I misunderstood, that's just not what it was. But our lectures are recorded, and I have the things timestamped. So when I brought it again to advising faculty, she pressed the issue. They brought us both to the room to kind of, the dean had messaged that woman. The woman sent an email. She apologized, whatever the case is. But that was that. There was no class assembly. There was no class addressing. It was just me and the advising faculty and the dean in the room. And that's kind of where it is. So I've explained it away kind of like to myself for my sake. It's maybe there's red tape. Maybe because she's also a black woman higher up, if she sticks her neck out for me, she has to stay with these people whereas I go. But, if there is any issue with reporting, it probably looks like that, A lot of our students are wondering where it goes and what happens. What's an appropriate course of action? Will they even take action? In this case, nothing happens. In many cases, nothing happens. But it's also unprofessional to take things into your own hands. But you're absolutely right. I can't see your full name, Dr. Waltz. Yeah, so there should be somebody to advocate for us because at the end of the day, I mean, we're in our 20s, but we're still kids relatively. What do we do? I don't know.
Dave, I have to compliment you because I think there unfortunately is no straightforward answer, especially in an institution like that when you're one of a few or one only. Like I can relate to that through my experience in dental school. And the fact that you had these documented, you did go to the appropriate person, that's what you can do. And like I said, always document these experiences. And, there's no, for the most part, unless the school specifically says, if you have this racist incident, like written in the handbook, there is no straight way to address these. And it really starts from the top. Some schools, like Dr. Wilson mentioned, some schools are very good about having a dean who responds well and says, we've got to make these changes. Some schools don't. And it sounds like, unfortunately, that's the environment you're in. And I think you've responded the best way you knew with what tools you had and what you were given. So I definitely want to compliment you on that and, keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
If I may add, the story you just told sounds like a couple instances. It was the same professor's class, but like one time she said something, and then another time she had a speaker. So the thing that she said was when I was a D1, and she lived in Atlanta like 1 year, and was around a predominantly black community. So that justified what I'm about to tell you. That she said it was quiet in the room and no one was really answering, and she told a story from a couple years ago. She goes, wow, you guys are acting just like this other class I had. And I told them to make it loud in here like Black Church. And myself and the other 4 black students like met each other's eyes immediately, like, whoa. So like, not only did you say that already a couple years ago, you felt the need to repeat the same story, same mistake. And it's like no better. And then, flash forward to a year later, another class with the same professor. She had a guest speaker. And she's putting up pictures of like archetypes, and then like OJ Simpson's picture comes up, and it's a really poorly framed image of him. He's like looking disheveled, and she goes like, this man is a killer. Like, what do you see when you see this man? I see a killer. And in a way he kind of looks like me, like just a little bit. It was enough there. Like, it was a weird moment for him, like, wow, that could easily be me. Is that what you think? And then whether he did it or didn't, the judgment went one way. But, as I think about it, that scene today, like, we know for sure, like, the Derek Chauvin guy, he's, like, for sure, 100% on video a killer. But she went out of her way to, like, put a picture up of, like, a black man and goes, oh, this is a killer. And so, like, finally, like, we went and spoke to his professor, and she goes, I tried to make this the most, like, diverse class. Like, what do you guys want from me, to stop teaching it? And we're like, yeah. Like, that might be nice, because you don't seem to like be taking our feelings into consideration. Like, I don't know who you think you're being diverse to, but it's not the black students. So yeah, man, it's tough to be in that situation, and these are the same people you have to go to later for recommendations, possibly. This is pretty brutal.
I would like to invite Dr. Artie to speak, and then after Yanina.
Hi, everyone. I'm so privileged to be able to come up here and speak. Not on a topic that I should have much to say, but I do. I've witnessed it. If one was to deny that these events happen in dental schools, it's really disgraceful, because I've actually unfortunately had the privilege of seeing it. And the way we addressed it is what we did, what Dav did. I think it's actually brilliant because look, yeah, it's politics. You got to learn how to sidestep. You got people you need to sidestep with. These are some of your seniors and superiors in the school. So what we did is we created a platform to anonymously post things, and we made it a fact for certain individuals and the higher ups to see these things. We literally created like a newsletter of student affairs, and this is particularly at USC. A lot of the things were just ignored or minutely addressed, and really there was no change. So when we created the newsletter, we actually got some different schools involved, and the student newsletter actually could not go without notice. A lot of the higher ups had to actually take notice of it because we had the privilege of having numbers. And I think the most important thing is to protect one another, to kind of just team up as students. You guys have that power. You should never feel frightened to speak up. If you don't speak up, it's not the right method, I think. How you speak up is important. It's not really what you're saying, it's how you're saying it. And that's just the psychology of kind of the road we're all traveling, especially in school. I understand the challenges, and I can't remotely even feel what you guys feel if that's really what you're experiencing in school. That sucks, and it's a terrible feeling. But it's all psychology, and if you can learn how to pivot and adapt, we all kind of experience it to some degree anywhere we go. So just my best advice is protect yourself at all times. Document things. Documentation is the most important thing. You want to be able to always defend yourself. And if you find faculty that are in that regard, anonymously report it. I as much as I would love for your name and honor to be behind it, it's a very difficult line to walk while you're at school. And once you're out, you have a lot more power. And I wish I could add more value to this. I'm going to keep listening because I want to know what you guys are experiencing. I want to be able to address it. I want to be able to help it. I think it's my obligation and responsibility to you guys as just fellow humans and my colleagues. And I don't stand for it, not in school and neither out. So a big part of what we'll do with the student club now is this. I'm going to give whoever in here wants to be a voice in that group. We're getting a lot of members from UCLA, USC, UOP, just the California schools, and we're kind of getting into the other states. But whoever wants to represent this issue, please, by all means, the floor is yours. Feel free to be a moderator, whatever it is that you feel will bring attention to this nationwide. And you can use any of my platforms to raise their awareness. It would be my privilege and honor to allow you guys to do that as well.
Thank you so much for that invitation. I'm going to pass the mic to Yanina.
Hi, can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yep.
Oh, okay. I just wanted to thank you guys for inviting me to such a supportive group, and I just feel like I'm not alone in this journey. Well, my name is Yanina, by the way, and I'm not in dental school yet, but I am an incoming D1 at UCLA. And I wanted to share with you all something I experienced recently while getting braces for the second time. And I am Nicaraguan or Latina, and I grew up in a predominantly Hispanic community. And the clinic that my orthodontist established his location in is in an underserved area. But anyways, I had told my orthodontist that I wanted my teeth to be as straight as they were the first time. And he proceeded to tell me that he would recommend doing an IPR, or basically filing in between my teeth, so that my bite was better than it was before. But personally, I told him, like, I liked my smile and I liked my teeth, and I just wanted everything to be back to the way it was originally. And he proceeded to tell me that I came from an uneducated household and that I didn't know any better, and to trust a professional. And he said it 3 times when I continued to tell him what I wanted for myself. So, like, in that moment, I was just, like, so angry and hurt, and my blood was boiling, and I felt like I had to prove myself. And, like, I know this sounds ridiculous, but in that moment, I just wanted to become an orthodontist, like, to show him that people like me can pursue higher education. And, yeah, I just have a really bitter taste in my mouth when I see him, and I just don't know how to handle that situation. And I know you guys have said, like, this is just the beginning for a lot of people, for a lot of students going through school. But, like, do you guys have any advice to offer on how to handle these situations, or how to train my mind to be stronger? And
Can I ask oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Nina. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, you can. I was pretty much done. I just
I was asking, this is someone who was treating you. You were saying this about, not a faculty member that you're in school with at the time.
Yeah, not
You're
a
someone.
faculty member. Yeah.
Okay, that's what I want to make sure of. I wasn't sure if someone who was going to be at the school where you're attending.
No. I said I'm an incoming student at UCLA, but I just wanted to share this experience because it kind of has made me afraid of like experiencing. Obviously, I will experience this in the future, but I just feel like insecure. Like I feel as if now I have to prove myself as like a person of color is uneducated, like, is that what we're labeled as because we're dark?
He's raggedy. He's raggedy as hell. So don't go back to him. That's one. I'm sure, I think Dr. Wilson's probably going to say the same thing. I'm sure others. Do not go back to him. Switch your provider ASAP. He should never, ever say it to you. No practitioner in any field should make any patient ever feel like that ever in their life. It's time to march and go somewhere else. There is a way to explain something to a patient, and it does not make them uneducated. That's not at all. If you're doing something like Invisalign, there are certain circumstances where you need IPR to get things to go where they are, but he had no right to disrespect you or your humanity. Run. I will say, I don't think I've had faculty say those type of words to me in that manner in school, and I think that was an egregious and unusual circumstance. And you walk and you tell him why you're leaving. Do not let that discourage you from dentistry. And I will also say, for me, being a person of color has been a huge help in my practice. I have patients from all different backgrounds, so I do think it's important for you long term to pick a place where you want to be, where it is diverse. I've had white patients who come to my office and say, I wanted to support a black dentist, very, very frankly. And I've, since I've been out and since I've been practicing on my own, I have never, ever once a day felt like that. I have, not in the last few years, had a patient ever come to me guessing if I'm the doctor. No, I would never talk to a patient that way. And he's trash. I don't care what he does for a living. He's a trash person. I'll say it, and I would say it to his face, he's trash. So do not let that discourage you, please. Please. He's trash.
I agree. I mean, and listen, you're going through dental school. What an accomplishment. You're heading in the right direction. If anything, that's his insecurity. And a lot of people show their insecurity through channels like that, where they try to belittle the other person and put themselves higher. I agree with Doctor. He is trash. Don't ever let someone derail you like that. Consider yourself a queen, and you're going in such a beautiful direction. If anything, it should give you motivation, and try to redirect all this negative energy into motivation, because if you do that, you win. Don't let them break you down mentally. If anything, redirect it and allow it to kind of trigger something in you to do better and work harder and change the field for the better, so people like that don't exist.
Also, I kind of recommend for you, there's some exercises that you can do, because I think that you have been adversely affected by this person. So I want you to think about these exercises. I want you to do. I do them too. It's like whatever you can make you a little chart. And whatever triggers you, you go ahead and put that down. That triggers you. And then what we call automatic thinking. What is your automatic thought? Most of our automatic thoughts sometimes can be very negative, right? So whatever triggers you, and then what's your automatic thought? And then what you're going to do, what your automatic thought is, you're going to go ahead and change it to a new thought. Okay. Say, for example, say something triggered me and I thought something like, oh, I feel so bad about myself. I feel like I'm nothing, right? That's an automatic thought. So my new thought is, no, I'm a work in progress. I'm doing better every day. So that's what I want you to do. I want you to start, whatever your thoughts are, whatever's triggering you, to whatever your automatics, I want you to change it to a new thought. Let me just tell you, this is kind of funny. Black people, in our community, we don't really think people should do, well, some of us don't do counseling or do therapy. It always been frowned against. You just deal with it, right? But I have a good friend, a best friend of mine, who's a physician, And she's always talking about, oh, people need to go get counseling, whatever. But, when you think about it, if you're doing, having a therapist or helping you work through these issues that people put on you that are negative, and when people dump on you every day, you take on some of that energy, some of that spirit. So you're going to have to be able to eradicate that. And like how that is, sometimes you're doing breathing exercises, or doing, like I said, the automatic thoughts and change them to, because believe me, that is that person's problem. It wasn't yours at all. And they put that on you. And you may have inadvertently, accepted what they were saying, but it's not true. It's a lie. All of it's a lie. And so what I want you to do is start taking care of what we call self-care for yourself. I want you to think of this kind of stuff, and I want you to get you a new thought of how that's not true. It's a lie, and that you are perfectly made, and that God has blessed you to go into dental school, and you're going to be an awesome dentist. I just want you to start thinking about that, and just what other people's thoughts are, and they put it on you. I want you to dump it off of yourself, and that's what I can encourage you to do, because I'm telling you, a lot of times that we let people make us feel bad about ourselves. But we have to make sure that we have something in our arsenal that we can just eradicate that and go into another level by thinking of different things that are more positive. That you're going to dental school, I think that is awesome. And that, you need to just change to a new orthodontist, and someone that is going to be more relatable to you. And that's what I always say, about having somebody that looks like you be your provider. And that will help a lot, because they can be more relatable to what you're going through. But I do want to encourage you, and I do not want you to feel bad about anything that you've done, because you didn't do anything wrong. You were just being yourself. But I want you to start, because I do it all the time too. Sometimes I let people put stuff on me, but I have a way of doing what we call new thoughts. I have an automatic thought that may be bad, then I think it's something else that's more conducive to the woman that I am. So I encourage you to do that too.
I'll keep this short. What he did was basically get upset because you questioned his probably bad treatment plan. And so he took offense to it, and he basically said, you know what, how can I bring her down? How can I make sure that she knows that I'm the professional, whatever it may be? He had a horrible treatment plan, because there's so many different ways to get to an end. And that's what's beautiful about dentistry. Dentistry has multiple avenues to get to the same result. Some are better than others, and he just didn't have the better option. And so he felt offended. He's an idiot. Pretty much that's what it comes down to. So really just focus on being you, but you can take a lesson from this and realize that in the end, you've now experienced something that you now can just moving forward. You can go and you see a patient, you can say, okay, how did I feel when someone treated me like this, or when someone didn't answer my question? So now you can actually use that to be a better clinician, a better dentist, and then you will be able to excel past that person. So remember this, and remember the way you felt when this guy belittled, or at least tried to belittle you. And just move on from there and just say, how do I make sure that I never do this to somebody else who may not know, but it's just asking a question? If you can't answer a patient's question, then that means that you need to reevaluate your own treatment plan. And I'm gonna leave it at that.
Thank you guys for the advice. That's actually a really good way to put it, where I need to learn from these negative experiences to become better in the future for other people who might have felt that way with, other types of providers. Like, I can be the voice for minorities,
Yes. So thank you. We're gonna have Alicia speak, who just joined us on stage. Awesome.
Yeah, hi. Thank you for having this. I've been enjoying this conversation. I had a question. So I'm an immigrant. I moved to the US 7 years ago. And to gain some, I was a practicing dentist in India. And when I moved here, I was working as a dental assistant in a small rural Kansas town, which was predominantly, it wasn't very diverse. So when like on the second day of my assisting, I had this patient who explicitly asked for I she just looked at me and said, "Can I have a white assistant, please?" So that kind of affected me at that point. And I mean, I still had patients who used to even ask for me later on and everything. But now that I'm in dental school and I'm going to be starting clinics in a few months, that kind of just came back to my mind. And I've been a little anxious about, what if that happens again? And I mean, it was fine for me to brush it off when I was an assistant. But if I'm going to be working as a provider, that's gonna hurt. So how do you, have any of you experienced very blatant racism like that, and if so, how did you handle it? I'm Alicia, and I'm passing the mic.
For me, it was actually right after dental school. Right after I graduated, I went to the VA, the Pittsburgh VA system, and I did my GPR. And my first patient actually said, "Oh, I don't want him to be my dentist." And luckily, my director basically said to him, "Hey, if you don't want him to be your provider, then you can leave." And I mean, moving forward, I actually had the same thing happen to me when my first job as a general dentist. I had a patient that was just like, "Okay, where's the dentist?" And I was like, "Surprise, I'm your dentist." And he was like, "Oh, I don't want that." And you can either be upset about it, or you can just say, "Okay, cool, moving on." Because in the end, they're going to miss out on your ability to treat them probably better than the next person. And for me, I don't take this personal because I know who I am. I know what I can do. So it's not the beginning, it's not the last time. And so you just have to kind of just say, who are you and what can you provide for your patients? You'll get that no matter where you go. You just have to understand that you got to be better within yourself. It's not about doing it for them. It's about doing it for yourself and saying, I'm good. I've put in the effort. I've done everything I possibly can. I'm good at what I do. And if they don't want my services, move on. Who cares? That person is I bet you that person is somebody that you don't even want to deal with in the long term, because the second you touch that person, you're married to that person. That's your patient. And if they're going to have that kind of crappy attitude from the beginning, imagine how it's going to be throughout. So just don't even let them. Focus on what you need to do to be the best clinician you can be for yourself.
I love that, Dr. Walt. I had a patient like that, and my associate is African American, and she said in a negative way, in a Hispanic word, that I don't want that black individual, and I immediately had to dismiss her from the office. So I actually gave her a dismissal letter because she announced it out loud and in front of my dental assistants, my teammates, my team members and colleagues and patients. And you immediately have to address it. So for me, I won't tolerate that. When you own your own practice, make sure the theme of your office and energy of your office is one that you will allow. If you allow certain things to go under the table or unsaid or unspoken about, it'll change the energy of your office. So it was, and you know what? She had about like $3,000 worth of credit. I grabbed my checkbook. I didn't even give her the option. I grabbed my checkbook. I wrote her a $3,000 check, wrote refund on it, and dismissed her with 3 or 4 different dentists that will be able to continue her care so that you're out of any type of liability. And that's it. And that's all that we had to do. And immediately everyone understood that it's not tolerated here. It was the first time I actually had that bold of an experience where she was just demeaning. And I was okay with it because it actually set a good precedent for everyone to understand, everyone who was there. That won't be tolerated. And if you have that ability, I highly suggest you dismiss that kind of negative energy from your presence.
Yeah, and it has to happen. It has to happen immediately too. I would definitely say, I would not, Alicia. If somebody comes in, I wish you being an assistant, someone would have took care of that for you, because you don't need to be even around that. And people like that, do need to be dismissed. And I would definitely not put my hands on a person that's telling you up front that they're racist, because anything that you do it's going to be something wrong with it. They're going to hold you up to a different light. So let me give you some stats here. In the United States, there's 187,000 actively practicing dentists, right? And predominantly are white male. So that's what the stats are. So you being a minority female, you're going to be in a elite type group. And so what I'm saying is that you're going to be able to develop on straight when you come on about exactly what type of practitioner that you want to be. We do know through data that 60% of African American or Black people tend to actually want to find a practitioner that looks like them. So there's a whole bunch of people that these people who are racist can go to. And so what you're going to have to do once you finish dental school and everything, make sure you are like, Dr. Ant already said, you hook up with people who are like-minded that would not tolerate someone coming into their office and disrespecting you and the skills that you have. And so that's one thing I can tell you. You're going to have to definitely navigate your career and navigate whoever you're working for, knowing that they would not tolerate it. Those people can go somewhere else. They can go to a white male that they feel comfortable with. There's a lot of people that will come to you and be satisfied with your services. And the people that are not, don't even tolerate them. Don't put your hands on them because something's going to be wrong. Nothing ever that you do for them is going to be right because they already have this preconceived notion about your abilities. So I definitely encourage you and tell you that's how it is here in the United States. You're going to find that's what's going on, but there's going to be safe spaces for you to be in. And I want you to be your eyes open and you navigate that safe space so you don't have to deal with this microaggression and stuff that's going to occur and happen to you. So I encourage you to do that.
Thank you so much.
Also, while you're in school, because this is one thing that, we're speaking about even going into the school environment, you might want to ask as you, get to clinics, whoever, like, I guess that group practice administrator, whatever the school may call it, whoever that dentist is who's in charge of your clinical area is, you might want to ask them beforehand, if I have a patient who does this, what is the protocol? Just so you're armed with that in case it ever were to come up. You should, I think, to ask them ahead of time, does you no harm? Because you want to see how they will process that and how they're going to be taking care of that. So I think that's really important for you to go in just to at least know in case it ever does come up. And definitely look to the other side beyond school. And you've already trained internationally. You know what you're doing. So you're 10 steps ahead of a lot of students who come in there. So, I wish you the best with that.
And Alicia, make sure you follow the mods up here. Dr. Mob, Dr. Dav, Dr. Darwal, all of these individuals have connections. They have resources. And being in a group like this gives you the privilege of being able to come on here and possibly connecting with someone that's in your local area. Or then, it's just networking and connecting. And I think like-minded people will tend to actually group together, and you'll find someone that can steer you in the right direction just by opening yourself to them. One of my mentors always said, your net worth is your network. And so increase your network with better people, and your quality and your net worth will actually increase. So I'm privileged to even be up here, but follow all the moderators. And in the future, if you're in a specific area, you may want to reach out to them and see if there's any connections or anyone that can lead you in the right direction in your area.
And can I just say, for the future, you are able to, just like patients are able to select you and have you as their provider, you're also able to select patients. So don't forget that you're not tied to anybody. If you have ownership in a practice, that's even more freedom. But if you're an associate, you still have the right to just say, what, I can't treat this patient, or hey, Mrs. Smith, like, I am not the provider for you. You have to understand that you can't, like, one of the doctors said, you can't let money drive your decision. You just got to think and say, is this really going to be worth it in the long term? So again, it's just like patients can select you, you can also select patients.
Thank you.
So I'm going to invite Mehmet to speak.
Hello, everybody. I am not a dentist, but I'm in a field that I'm contacting with the dentist. I have clients from the dentists. I just want to share my experience about African American and Black doctors in my area. I am in Northeast New Jersey, and we go to offices to visit the offices to fix dental equipments. I have varieties of doctors like black, white, immigrants. But what I see, most of the Black African American dentists are struggling. They are, for example, I have a client in Newark. He is the fourth generation dentist. Fourth generation. His father, grandfather, great-grandfather was dentist, and in the same area. And now he is retiring and passing the office to his daughter. Fifth generation is starting very soon. And when I go to his office, I feel bad, because I see the environment and the type of the equipment he's using and the office design, and this is not the only him. In area like East Orange, I have many African American doctors is my client. I'm visiting them in the same situation, but in other towns like the white towns and the other towns, I see.
Excuse me, Mehmet. I'm going to interrupt you for 1 second.
Sure.
I'm in your area. I'm in Montclair, New Jersey.
Okay.
I have several of my colleagues who are Black who are doing very well. So I'm not sure what you're trying to get at.
Of course, I was about to tell this, but you were quicker than me. I have, of course, some clients, African American, very successful, but I have my own statistics. I am in the field like almost 15 years. So I have like 300 clients. Okay, when I look at my statistics, for example, fourth generation dentist situation, not even the fourth generation, in the second generation usually is like a millionaire in here. I have clients like Italian doctors and the other doctors. The reason I am comparing is this: this only my field, my area. I don't want to do. I don't want to say in a general view because I don't have the statistics in my hand for all the United States. But according to my experience, there is a significant difference, and this difference I think can be solved. There should be non-profit organizations to guide minorities, like business-wise, and help them to improve what can be done. Because in general, guidance for every dentist, like kind of organizations, may not help this area. For example, when I give a service or sell something or to do something, I really feel shame to collect my money. There are dentists like this situation, and that's why we should have done and think about how we can improve and give more support. Kind of things, and then this comes improve the situation in the community. Thank you very much.
Yeah, you know what I was gonna say. I listen to what you're saying. I'm trying to be respectful, but everybody is in private practice. I've been in private practice before. Everybody's situation is different. And whenever you do research, I've been a researcher early in my career. When you come with what we call an end product, there's a certain way to get there, or you may have what we call a confounding factor that is or variable that makes you get a certain product or outcome. And so one thing I can say that about this is that a lot of Black American or African American providers are Medicaid providers, or they practice in underserved areas, and a lot of times that the money that they may be receiving is from reimbursement may be low because that's what the safety net providers actually provide for them. So there's all kind of factors why you're probably experiencing that. But Dr. Marie was saying that she's also knows some very successful, other Black practitioners. I am president of a dental society in the state of Virginia, and I have over like 200 doctors that belong to society, and we have millionaires and we have people in the society that are doing very well. So I can just tell you, definitely it's about location, actually where you put your practice, whether you want to make a whole bunch of money or, where I was situated with my practice was in an underserved area in Petersburg, Virginia, in which I was one of the only Medicaid providers in that area. So a lot of the people that we service are probably poor people that don't have money to pay you. So what I'm saying is that the experience that you probably have, like you said, you're not really aware of all the things going on. It's probably unique, and every practice is different, and everybody does different things, So what I'm trying to do is get you to understand that, I'm trying to be respectful to you, but we are talking about racism in dental school, and that issue that you're talking about, maybe we should take up on another day about, in regards to, being in private practice and being profitable. But I can tell you right now that most Black people who are providers in dentistry are Medicaid providers. We do serve the underserved, and a lot of times we see our people don't have enough money to actually pay us, or they're underinsured. There's plenty of people that in the 12 years I was in private practice, owed me money to this day because they were suffering, and I took care of them. But I didn't get into dentistry to make a whole bunch of money. I got into dentistry for something else. So what I'm saying, every individual practice is different, and so it can be on the either spectrum. But I do know that we have a lot of Black providers that do take insurance, are not fee for service, and sometimes that does affect your practice in a different way, and that maybe you don't have, like you said, being a millionaire or whatever, or fourth generation. It's definitely about location. If you want to be in the underserved area, you're going to have to deal with people who don't have the money to pay you, and that's how it is.
And
Uh,
Mehmet, just so you're aware, the areas you're speaking of, East Orange. Again, I'm in Essex County, so I know these very well at the back of my hand, especially with the fourth, fifth generation group. These are people who were redlined. So a lot of them, including my grandparents, were not able to get loans in affluent, predominantly white towns within New Jersey. My grandparents could not get a loan from a bank, although they qualified. They had to get it direct from the previous owner. So this seems to be the case with even practice owners. If they've been starting years back, they didn't necessarily have the opportunities because the government prevented them from acquiring loans and setting up locations that allowed them to be and maybe in more affluent areas. So that's part of what you're seeing. This is systemic racism.
exactly. That's why in general, dental associations like covers all dentists doesn't work for the minorities. There should be specialized organizations to be behind them, support them, and improve their practices. That would be very helpful If there is something out there, I like to be a member of it. Please let me know, okay? Or
You can't be. You have to be a dentist.
It would be
no,
Commonwealth Dental
Have
Society is
those
what you're looking for.
I'm not talking
organizations.
about the
Yeah.
dentists, like non-profit organizations. I am talking about to establish non-profit organizations to improve their, business wise, like support them legally and provide kind of help. This kind of organizations I am talking about, not a dental association.
I'm so sorry. I just wanted to cut in and say goodnight. I got patients in the morning, so I'm gonna call it a night. But it's been an honor to be on the panel. It's been nice speaking with every one of you. I'm gonna follow a few of you guys too.
Yeah, we gotta follow you, bro, because we gotta encourage you. Make sure that you graduate with all that debt that you're getting from NYU.
Oh yeah.
Everybody follow everybody.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That's DAV.CHI on Instagram. It's been a pleasure, guys. Take care, okay?
Thank you. And on that note, I'm going to have Kari be our last speaker for the night, and then we're just going to wrap up this room. We hope to have this discussion once a month, but Kari, take it away.
Hi guys, I just happened to see this room after I finished a room on burnout. I'm a dental hygienist. I did not experience racism to my knowledge in dental hygiene school, although I've seen a lot of posts, even recently in Brown Girl RDH, the nonprofit group, as they also have a Facebook group. Even recently, I think 2 weeks ago, someone had posted how a patient contacted her through text saying that they didn't want to see her. They want to see someone who looked like them. They weren't comfortable. And so it did turn out that at least the school supported her, dismissed her, talked to the teacher who was saying she was just acting too personal. So they're making different changes. And even recently, someone jumped into my DMs today where, because of the problem she's been having at her school, and actually one of her instructors got fired, and them trying to revamp it, the dean is trying to look for instructors who are of color because there's none at her school. So I'm just glad that there's this room in Clubhouse, because I know that even though I didn't experience this in dental hygiene school, I have experienced racism and the offices, basically either interviewing or, as Ariana was saying, I think it was, with patients at times. It's not all the time. I haven't had where they directly came out and said they didn't want to see me, but it was like someone had mentioned earlier, no matter what you do, you can go above and beyond. You just feel it when you go bring the patient back and you try to go above and beyond and they still don't like you. So I'm glad that you guys have this room for everyone. And that's it. I'm done speaking.
Can I just have a shameless plug real quick?
Sure, Dr. Walt.
So I have a podcast called Tooth Be Told. That's Tooth Be Told. And anybody that is wanting to come and continue this conversation, I would love to have on my podcast. Again, that's Tooth Be Told. My Instagram link and Twitter link are on my bio, but you can just contact me and we'll get you on the podcast to have any discussion you want to have, because I truly believe that this shouldn't just stop here. We need to kind of get to the point where we understand what's happening in dentistry, and we can also encourage people that are coming up and dentists that are going through. We have to be honest with what people should be expecting, what dental students should be expecting, what pre-dental students should be expecting in the field of dentistry. And I want to say that, generalizing and saying that not everybody does well or this and that, that doesn't make any sense, because I know a lot of people are incredibly well off as dentists, and others that might need to do better business-wise, and these are low factors. But anyway, that's Tooth Be Told. Please contact me and let me know if anybody wants to come on. It's open to anybody on here. I would love to just have more discussions about stuff like this.
Wonderful. I'm just going to, if anyone wants to make any last statements before I close out this room, this is the time to do so. Okay, well, thank you guys for joining Future Minority Dentist Club on Clubhouse.
I do want to say something before we close out. I'm sorry.
No worries.
I just want to encourage all the dental students I want to encourage you. I want you to just hang in there. You're almost there. And I want to encourage Yanina, you're about to start, you're about to go into this. And then Ariana, I want to encourage all of you all. And I want to lift you up, right? Lift you up and tell you that this shall too pass. You shall get past all of this. And I want you to be encouraged. I don't want you to take on anybody else's stance on anything. I want you to find your own voice and just be encouraged and know that people have come before you and will come after you. But I just want you to stay focused on your positive mental health and understand that this what is goes on in the world, and it's going to continue once you finish. But listen, you're going to finish and you're going to do well in this life, okay? And so I got to encourage you to make sure you understand that, give you some love, the love that you need, and to undergird you and say, listen, all this shall too pass and you're going to make it.
Thank you, Dr. Wilson. Thank you.
Yes, I would like to thank everyone who is on stage who have really supported the dental students and the pre or incoming D1s with all your wisdom. Dr. Wilson, I definitely will be taking your strategy of writing things down and trying to redirect my thoughts. I think that's something I definitely need to incorporate into my self-care. I am going to close this room, but before I do, I want to invite everyone, obviously, not only just to follow me, but everyone who's spoken on stage. And that if you want to know what our next events are, please press the green house in the upper right hand corner. And we have the list of our events, and please follow us on Instagram. If any of the people on stage have want to host or moderate an event in the future, we have openings for May and June, and we would really like dental students and dentists to really just take over this room and or this club to really just lead. And we're just so thankful for everyone who came through. This is honestly our longest discussion this in the past 3 months, and I think it was very productive and useful. So I just want to thank everyone for joining in and hopping in. Thank you so much. I'm ending this room now.
Thank you.